Thank you. We'll call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Land acknowledgement.
We respectfully acknowledge that the community of the municipality of Highlands East is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Wosaley, and Georgina Island First Nations. The community of the municipality of Highlands East respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come.
Thank you. Agenda. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Saying none. Agenda.
That the agenda for the regular meeting of council of July 14th, 2026 be approved as circulated.
Someone moved. Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Minutes.
That council for the municipality of Highlands East approves the minutes of the regular council meeting of June 23rd, 2026.
Someone moved. Councillor Strong, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Council on delegations this morning. We have Crow Valley here. We have Jeanette Lovey-Smith and Meredith Carter. Welcome, ladies. The podium is here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Meredith Carter. Jeanette Lovey-Smith is with me as well. I am the manager of the Source Protection Program at Otonabee Conservation. I'm also a risk management official and inspector, and I'm going to just share a little bit about the Drinking Water Source Protection Program, and then Jeanette is going to finish us off with a discussion about agreements and some updates from Crow Valley Conservation. I don't believe, there we go. I don't have the ability to move the slide. You'll be able to tell. Thank you. I'm sure you're aware that the Clean Water Act was established back in 2006 with the goal of protecting municipal drinking water sources. What it does, it identifies 22 land-based threats that pose, or land-based activities that can pose a threat, and it identifies where those threats can occur. You've probably heard Councillor Ryle speak about drinking water threats and vulnerable areas. So those are some of the specific pieces under the Clean Water Act. One of the most important parts of the Clean Water Act is that it requires local source protection plans to be established. So in this area, it's the Trent Source Protection Plan that applies. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see a map, and this shows the Trent Conservation Coalition Source Protection Region. So there are 19 source protection regions across the province, and they each include up to 5 conservation authorities. So the Trent Conservation Coalition region, we're actually the largest. So it includes Otonabee Conservation, Crow, Lower Trent, Kawartha, and Ganaraska. You can see on the map here that it extends up into the municipality of Highlands East. And Highlands East is actually a portion in several different source protection areas. And so that's the Conservation Authority boundary within the region. The next slide will show you a bit more detail about the Otonabee Peterborough Source Protection Area. And there's that portion of Highlands East up in the northern end of our source protection area. The next slide shows the municipal drinking water systems. So you will note that while there is a portion of Highlands East in the Otonabee Peterborough Source Protection Area, the drinking water systems are actually in the Crow Valley Source Protection Area. The next slide will show you the systems that you're very familiar with. We have the Cardup system and the Dino system, both in your municipality. Beautiful areas. I am familiar with both of those systems. Yeah, it's a lovely area for us to come and visit. So as you're aware, Drinking water source protection is a shared responsibility. Conservation authorities have responsibility, local municipalities, provincial ministries, those affected by source protection plan policies, and of course, the general public. I'll talk a little bit about some of the specific municipal responsibilities. These include implementing the source protection plans, and each municipality with a drinking water system that falls under the Clean Water Act is required to have a risk management official and inspector. There are also policies in the source protection plan that require municipalities to develop and deliver an ongoing education and outreach program. And that's targeted to those people undertaking activities that could pose a threat. There are also activities such as compliance with regulations, legislation, reporting, participating in municipal working groups, and having source protection committee municipal representatives. So Councillor Ryle sits on the Trent Conservation Coalition Source Protection Committee. There are other municipal responsibilities depending on where you are, and these could include the mandatory septic system inspections, transport pathway notifications, emergency management, and all the other things that are required to keep the sources of municipal drinking water safe and plentiful for everyone. The next slide talks a little bit about the delegation of responsibilities. So under the Clean Water Act, municipalities have the ability to delegate their responsibilities for the risk management official and inspector and the education outreach to a third party. So in many cases, conservation authorities have entered into those types of agreements with municipalities. So Otonabee Conservation currently has fee-for-service agreements with 8 municipalities in the Otonabee Peterborough source protection area, and the municipality of Highlands East currently has a similar agreement with Crow Valley Conservation. This enables Conservation Authority staff to provide the risk management official and inspector services to the municipality. Perfect. Again, this is a responsibility. It's a requirement under the Act. And what a risk management official or inspector does, several different things, but they include the review of development proposals in the vulnerable areas. Notices and enforcement orders can also be issued. Negotiation of risk management plans, attending environmental review tribunal hearings if those are required, supporting municipal staff and completing the annual reporting. So all of the things that are required for compliance with the Clean Water Act and the Trent Source Protection Plan. So that's just one piece of that agreement. The other piece is that education and outreach. And so because the Trent Source Protection Plan uses education and outreach as one of the policy tools for compliance, this is a really important one. Obviously, education and outreach is your first step in helping people understand their role in protecting municipal drinking water sources and ensuring compliance. Everybody wants to have clean, safe drinking water. So what we do is provide information and tools to help them do that, to understand what the risks could be from specific activities and how to mitigate those risks. And we currently provide that service to 8 municipalities as well. And that was included in the agreement with Crow Valley Conservation in partnership with the Municipality of Highlands East. Education and outreach, it can be printed materials. It can also include attendance at local events, displays, social media, information that goes out through the risk management office. So it's a whole suite of activities. I am going to pass the presentation over to Jeanette at this time. She's going to speak a little bit more about the agreements for the risk management and education and outreach. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Meredith. And thank you, Your Worship and Council, for having me today. And Meredith, for Council's knowledge, I am the general manager at Crow Valley Conservation Authority. I am also the CAO at Otonabee Conservation Authority. So I'm doing a shared role. This is the direction that the province is going in, and I'll speak a little bit to the consolidation. But with respect to the risk management official agreement that Crow Valley and Highlands East have, we're looking just to ensure that we have our administrative components all tied up and buttoned up. And so this is where we're looking for also a motion from council to appoint Otonabee Conservation as the backup and the ability to perform the risk management official. So you would have an agreement with both of those authorities to be able to provide the service. There is no cost to the township, and there is no impact at all to Crow Valley. So this is a service that Otonabee is providing out of, again, the concept of shared services. It allows business continuity to continue. There are 3 risk management officials at Otonabee. They've also been in the community doing a risk analysis, threat analysis. And so again, it's business continuity and just ensuring that we have our paper in order. So that is the specific request that we're looking for. I'm happy to speak a little bit more about that, or I'm also happy to go to the other 2 items that your worship, if you would like.
Whichever you would like.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next 2, and I'm going to also you can certainly speak about the second item for a whole day, if not longer, but I'm going to keep it short. And I'm also happy to send your CAO some links that are actually very informative with respect to things. So the Crow Valley Conservation Authority Board did have their meeting, and one of the things that the minister has asked that each conservation authority pass the 2027 budget as we move through this consolidation. So the Crow Valley Board has done that. It is a 0 increase. And so that has been sent out and circulated to all of the 10 municipalities in Crow Valley. So we're not looking, the board is not looking for an increase. We're just looking to stabilize our programs and services as we move through the transition into the consolidation. And so I actually believe Highlands East levy or apportionment actually goes down slightly, and that's related to assessment. So while the budget remained the same, the assessment is how we calculate it. So there's a slight decrease in that for 2027. The board reconvenes in September, and the goal would be then to pass the budget at that point for 2027. The consolidation. Well, actually, for some time, the province has been talking about consolidating the 36 conservation authorities. And recently in 2025, decisions were made to move originally to 7 consolidated conservation authorities and now into 9. That date that they're looking to do that is February the 1st of 2027. That date is still in legislation right now. And as we move through that process, Crow Valley would become part of the Eastern Lake Ontario Regional Conservation Authority. It has 7 conservation authorities. It's the largest of the consolidation. So other consolidations have 4 or 5 in their consolidation. There are 7 conservation authorities. So again, I'm happy to send along some links that actually have mapping in it and a little bit more information. It's too much to print out, but it'll at least give you the links to it so that you can see it. And I'll do that when I get to the office today and send it to your CAO. as we move through this process, there were a number of steps that the province has undertaken and directed the conservation authorities to do. One of them is to appoint transition members to sit on a committee. So it's really the chair and the general manager of each of the conservation authorities that would, from those 7, that would come together and sit on a transition committee. It's really important to define the fact that committee is just all about the transition. The board, which your worship sits on, is the governance. It remains, the board remains in place until February the 1st. This is the date that we know, and they are responsible for the governance of Crow Valley Conservation Authority. Policy decisions, those types of decisions, are budget approvals, are within that scope of responsibility. And the committee is really just about making sure that we're moving through that process of consolidation. No decision-making authorities, if you will. We have not yet met. We're waiting. We thought we would have some dates by now. We have not met yet. The province has hired Ernst & Young to prepare the transition plans that they call, and then to sit and help chair these meetings. So we're still in a bit of a holding pattern as we wait to hear about these meetings. And really, in terms of any other directions that the province has given, it's really the appointments, it's this transition, and then it's also approval of the budgets. Those are really the minister's directions that they've looked to do. Beyond that, we have a good understanding of what we think those key things are going to be that they're going to be looking at, but we don't as staff, as general managers, as senior leaders in the Conservation Authority world, we don't have that completely spelled out. We've been in discussions, but we don't have a plan, if you will, laid out. We have an understanding of some of those key things. One of those is that Crow Valley and the office location, the services and the programs that Crow Valley provides are going to continue. They've made that clear through our discussions and in legislation. So the conservation area lands, the permitting and planning program, those things are going to continue to be performed, be offered into the communities. How they might look and feel might change, I'm going to think. There's going to be some modernization that's going to occur with that, but they're still going to be relevant in the community. And that is a goal of the board at Crow Valley and myself as well, is to make sure that we are relevant and present in our watershed. That's really again, I'm happy to answer a whole lot of other questions about it. The only other thing that I would add, Your Worship and Council, is the province has also established it's a ministry, it's an agency. They call it the Ontario Provincial Conservation Agency, and that'll be another link that I will send to your CAO. And you might want to keep, checking in on that link, because the province does populate it with some information. But it talks about this agency will have some oversight of the 9 conservation authorities. And there are 9 mandates, directives that the minister has given this agency. One of those, actually number 8, is called shared services. And so while Crow Valley had already taken the steps to move into the direction of a shared services, in particular my role, which it was the initial start. It started also with the retirement of a long-term general manager, Tim Pittick, which I'm sure you're aware of last year. But more of these types of shared services and ensuring that the Regional Conservation Authority has the capacity to perform the services and programs, but also has the talent, the skill set, the expertise that it requires. And so for Crow Valley, it is actually a real helpful step in that way, because it will give Crow Valley the ability to access water, like engineering service, the talents and things that the actual authority has not been able to have access to in the past. So I'm happy to answer any questions, Your Worship.
All right, thank you. Questions? Come, cease?
Just have one. Currently, right now, Highlands East has direct representation on the Crow Valley Board. Am I understanding correctly, then the consolidation, Highlands East will lose direct representation. It now goes up to Halliburton County, who then in turn will decide who will represent Halliburton County on the board. Is that correct?
Your Worship, that is correct. Yes,
I-
There- yes.
I brought that forward.
yes. There are two pieces of legislation that we are waiting for. That are very, very important to our watershed communities. One is the representation piece. So it will be based on population, but they have not established what the thresholds are. So it will be upper tier, meaning the county, and single separated cities in terms of things. So the watershed, or the new watershed, which will have sub-watersheds, is, Kawartha City, the city of Kawartha Lakes, down to Port Hope, over to actually Brockville, is Kingston, but Cataraqui is actually Brockville, so Leeds and Grenville. And then up to Highlands East, and so it's everything in between. It's Ganaraska Conservation Authority, Kawartha, Otonabee, Crow Valley, Lower Trent, Quinte, and Cara.
Are there questions? If not, we have a resolution.
I'm just looking for clarification. So with respect to the appointment, what time frame are you looking for that? At this meeting or a future meeting?
Through your worship, it can be, it's at the pleasure of council. We are continuing to provide the service. We just want to make sure that there's something in writing for when the consolidation happens. So we are just looking for a motion from the council to appoint Otonabee Conservation as the risk management official. So you will in fact have business continuity, whether it's at Crow Valley, but also at Otonabee. So it's a safeguard, but it's business continuity for the township. So if you're comfortable doing that today, that would be great. If not, then I'm happy to work with your staff to have that happen.
So council's wishes are to do it today?
Sure.
Okay, well, first we will receive.
Yep.
The Council for the Municipality of Highlands East. Sorry about that. Just give me 1 second. The council received the delegation as provided by Jeanette Lovely Smith and Meredith Carter, Crow Valley Conservation Authority at the July 14th, 2026 regular meeting of council.
Did I have someone move? Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried.
Okay. Second recommendation, that the Council for the Municipality of Highlands East appoint the Otonabee Conservation Authority as the risk management official inspector to facilitate business continuity at the July 14th, 2026 regular meeting.
Did I have someone move? Councillor Strong, second by Councillor Lewis. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, your worship, and thank you, council and staff. I do want to extend my deepest apologies. I referenced township and it should be municipality. And so I feel really sheepish about that. So please accept my apologies for that.
Certainly do.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Baker Tilly coming in this morning. I'm not sure if it's Richard or Veronica that's coming, but we'll wait and see. Richard?
Good morning.
Morning, Richard.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, yeah, you're stuck with me and not Veronica today. So yes. Um, and yeah, I'm here to present the draft audited financial results for the municipality for 2024. And is it fine to begin?
Sure, if you would, Richard, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. When you join as panelist, you lose connection there for a few seconds, so I wasn't sure what was said. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. So, presenting here today the draft auditor's report for the municipality for the year ended December 31st, 2024. Over the last couple of years, with a number of PSAB changes that were delayed in relation to due to the pandemic, with then the implementation of the asset retirement obligations in 2023. And then as well too this year, changes to the revenue standard on how to report building permits. There was just some time and additional work that was required to get to the statements that you see here today. So first off, we will be going through the slide deck, which is most people find easier to understand than the detailed draft audited financial statement. So hopefully you find that as well. So then first off, taking a look at the next slide is just a summary of the important paragraph within the independent auditor's report. So that's our report on the financial statements. And then summary being that in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the municipality at December 31st, 2024, and the results of its operations and its cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards, or more commonly known as PSAB. So that's a summary of the auditor's report. That's your standard clean unqualified report. Next, you'll see some of the audit procedures we do to gather the audit evidence to report on the financial statements. And you can see there that gathering that evidence by looking at amounts flowing in through the financial system of the organization, and then looking how things flow through both in revenues for your inflows and how things flow out through payroll and disbursements, and then how you adjust things through journal entries. We'll take a look at that both through that process to gather our evidence. And then on the next slide, you will see there where the audit is at currently. Audit is complete pending receipt of some signed documentation for the representation letter, council approval of the financial statements, and confirmation from your legal advisors as to any outstanding issues they may be dealing with. Overall, as I mentioned earlier, there were some additional audit procedures this year for the analysis of the new revenue standard, which, as I mentioned earlier, did cause a delay in completing the audit, but still that did require more work from internally from your staff, but we did receive excellent cooperation from your staff, but that did take additional time to get to where we are today. And then looking back, there were a couple of items that were not adjusted coming from the previous year. There was some monies that were previously recognized under the OCIF funding as being revenue that needed to be put back in your deferred revenue. So that can be utilized moving forward. So that's the first difference. The second one, there was a grant that you believed you would be receiving. Unfortunately, that did not occur. So there was an adjustment there for about $48,000 that needed to be reduced in your revenues in 2024. And then as well too, at the end of 2023, there was an item that was recorded as an expense that looking back should have been recorded as a capital asset. So the net number there of all those numbers is about $46,000. So that net number is then just causing us to have a sorry, $96,000, which was not a material amount, but then of course we are just obligated to make you aware of that, and then those items have been corrected, and then the amounts are properly reflected at the end of 2024. So that's a summary of the audit, and now we will take a look at just some of the financial results for the municipality at the end of 2024. You will see there on the far right-hand side of the slides the trend over the last 5 years in the green line. So you can see there that your cash has been on a steady increase, and then this year the increase is mainly attributable to your increase in reserves and your operating surplus increasing there. And as well too, your accounts receivable just down slightly from the prior year, as in the prior year you had some capital grants that were outstanding for some projects in 2023 that you collected. So those amounts are no longer there. And then your final financial asset is your taxes receivable. And you can see there, though, it did take a significant increase in 2024. So that's something you should be keeping an eye on moving forward. As a percentage of the levy in 2024, that number was 13.8%, up from 10.1% in the prior year. So that's, as I said, something you should be focusing on. So hopefully you would like to keep that number as low as possible, because of course you pay the county and the school boards every quarter, regardless of whether you've collected those funds. So it's always good to try to stay on top of that number and keep it below the 10% figure. On the following slide, you will see who you owe money to on your financial liabilities. In 2023, you did have a number of capital projects that were on the go that resulted in some additional payables at the end of 2023, whereas that did not happen in 2024. So you can see the 5-year graph is kind of spikes in 2023 and then comes back down again in 2024. Your obligatory reserve funds, so those are your Canada Community Building Fund or the gas tax monies, and you have about 439,000 of those funds set aside at the end of the year that can be used in subsequent years for capital. As well too, you still have some parkland monies of about 31,000 left at the end of the year. Overall, the next big line is a large increase in your deferred revenue other. So that represents the value of the building permits where you've received the money, but you haven't completed the permit. So within that 447,000 this year, the large portion of that increase is related to the building permits of about 115,000. As well as some additional OCIF monies you have sitting within that account that you can use moving forward of about $308,000. So the one thing about the building permit revenue, in the end, you will still get all the revenue you charged when you issued the permit. Just from an accounting perspective, it's when the work is done as to when that will come into your revenue line. You have your future employee benefits still there, and as well to your asset retirement obligations in 2023. That was a large change, and that replaced the landfill closure and post-closure liability. And in your case, your consultant treated it as a prior period adjustment, which is why it shows up in 2022. And the landfill liability goes away after 2021, and then that represents the costs for you to remediate and bring back to original condition your landfill sites of about $3.1 million, asbestos in some buildings at $110,000, and as well too for lagoons and septic disposal areas of about $1.1 million, and then gravel pits and wells of about $248,000. And those are the components of the $4.6 million. So in total, you had about $7.1 million in total liabilities. And then on the following slide, you can see that on your net financial assets on the following slide, your net financial assets continue to increase after the slight decrease in 2022 for the asset retirement obligations. And then on slide number 8, moving ahead there, your non-financial assets. So these are the assets that you have that you use to provide services to your residents, and majority of that is your tangible capital assets, being your roads, bridges, and buildings, things such as that, and at its depreciated or amortized value. And then you have some prepaid expenses, mainly insurance, that carries forward into 2025. The following slide gives you an idea of some of the tangible capital asset additions that you had in 2024. They're about 1.3, almost $1.4 million. And as usual, roads and bridges are largest component there. You did some work on Irondale Road, as well as Buxton Road and McCall's Bridge. The majority of that was your increase there. And then as well, too, you'd also done some work on your roads, garages, Essenville Church, and work done at the landfill sites for their buildings there, causing the increase in buildings. And then you did work on parks and the cemetery for your land improvements. So those were some of the larger components in your additions in 2024. And then following slide gives you an idea of just your capital additions in comparison to your amortization. And you will see there that in 2023, you did had a lot of capital additions on slide 10. So that in comparison, it was a bit of a higher year. You did some work at the pool as well. You also purchased a grader and a tractor, creating some larger expenditures in 2023 compared to some of the other years. The next slide gives you an idea of your accumulated surplus. On your financial statements, you have about $24 million showing in your accumulated surplus, but the about half of that is all tied up in your invested in capital assets, being the $11.9 million in the first line. So that's similar to the assets. You'll continue to use that, and will get used up in amortization moving forward. Your employee future benefits, you only you pay that as you pay your monthly premiums on your retiree benefits with the active employees benefits. So that does not need to be raised specifically until you spend that. And then as well to your operationally, there was about $1,165,000 in operating surplus left in the municipality at the end of 2024. And then as well too, you had about $11.3 million in reserves. So the combined amount of there's about a $1.3 million increase in your equity that you can utilize moving forward, which is a good position to be in. And then the next slide gives you an idea of the differences between PSAB and budgeting and reporting, and how you report internally. PSAB takes your capital fund, your operating fund, and your reserve and reserve funds and treats them all as one amount. But when internally, you treat them all as separately. So the amounts below in the reconciliation part are differences to bring you back to the amounts reconciling back to zero. So your budget, you can see there, does balance to zero as it's supposed to. And really what you will see here is your additions to capital assets in 2024 were lower than 2023 and budget, which then you will see that subsequently in some revenues being a little lower as you didn't incur all those capital costs as well. And the following slide gives you a summary of the 5-year trend on revenues and expenses, and of course the revenue line, the revenue bar being greater than the expense bar for the last 5 years. So it's always a good sign that you are setting aside equity for future capital purposes. And then the following slide gives you an idea of your actual results in 2024, coming in at $11.5 million in total revenue versus 11.4 in your budget. As I mentioned earlier, not spending all your capital, which meant you didn't spend your Canada Community Building Fund. So that's why that number is zero with a budget of $120,000. But then you can carry that money forward so you can use it in future years. And then as well too with some OCIF funding and the provincial line being adjusted and also set aside in the deferred revenue that you can use in future years. So that's why your provincial line is a little under budget. And then the one nice thing to see there is your subs and write-offs were a fair bit higher than budgeted. So that's why your taxation is coming in higher than the budget. And as well too with your revenues and your high cash balances, it derived more investment income in 2024 than budget in the prior year. So that was good to see all of those items moving in that direction. So that, as I said, about $11.5 million in total revenue, and then on the expense side, coming in just slightly lower than budgeted but still very close to budget. So that was good to see. Within the protection area, that was an area where you were below budget, and a lot of that is in relation to the cost for the building department coming in under budget, as well to environmental services in relation to the operations of the landfills were coming in lower than budget, causing the environmental services line to be a little lower. And then as well too, there was just some additional work on strategic trail plans and things such as that wasn't capital, causing some of your recreation and culture to be higher as well. And then the following slide gives you an idea of the type of expenses you've incurred. And you can see there with salaries and benefits, although being up from the prior year, still coming in below budget. And as usual, you provide your services with your staff. So that's why that salaries and benefits has historically been the largest component of your expenditures, non-capital. So then as well too, you will see there your amortization was a little higher than budget. And then as well too for the asset retirement obligations, they're growing by inflation, and that inflation part is showing up in your rents and financial line. So that causing that variance, there's 200,000 is all in relation to accretion. So that's then a summary of where things finished off for the municipality at the end of the year. As I said, you were able to increase your operating surplus and your reserve. So ideally, that will then allow you to complete capital projects moving forward, because as we all know, they are more expensive than they used to be. So hopefully then that gives you the stability so you can continue to replace your capital, as well as creating a reasonable increase on your tax rate.
Thank you, Richard. I think.
I
Questions? Comments? Cease?
The only challenge I have, obviously, is this 2024.
Correct.
Looking at, and 2025 is kind of like a done deal now too. So it'd be kind of interesting to know where are we in relation to where we should be, because that's the one that's going to count the most. There's so much volatility, if you wish, for the lack of a better term, in 2025, and I would like to know whether or not that continues on, or will it change anything that was done in 2024? Do we know when we're going to be able to look at 2025?
I know from our standpoint, we'd be ready to start that probably whenever your staff feels they are ready. I think for a lot of municipalities that they did get behind with all the PSAB changes. So now everyone is starting to get caught back up. So, but yeah, ideally we can dive into that and get that moving within the next month or two. So, based on whether the treasurer is ready. So.
Brett?
Yes, thank you, Richard. Just for council's information, now that 2024s have been presented and we can close off 24, staff have been already getting the items for 2025 ready, and we've been in contact with Richard's staff about setting up the time to do our internal audit here to then get 2025s presented as well, because staff as well as council also want 2025s done and wrapped up as we move ahead with our new ERP system as well, because that will have a big impact on our financial accounting system. So you'll see it, council will see that before year's end, absolutely. So.
Other questions? Resolution?
That members of the Council for the Municipality of Highlands East receive the presentation by Baker Tilly, Richard Teninga, Auditor for the municipality, and the council approves the Corporation of the Municipality of Highlands East 2024 financial statements and authorizes the mayor, deputy mayor, CAO, treasurer to sign all documents as the management's responsibility for the consolidated financial statements.
If someone move, Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
All right. Thank you. Have a good summer and a good meeting.
Thank you. Okay, and we're going to leave the regular meeting of council. We'll take a break. Thank you. We'll call the meeting back to order. We're going to leave the regular meeting of council.
That council come out of the regular meeting of council at 10:30 a.m. for the scheduled public planning meeting, and it be declared open to discuss the following bylaw amendments made under section of the Planning Act as amended pertaining to applicants McCracken, Irwin, and Bolton.
If someone move, Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Wright. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Public meeting.
The participants for the planning meeting wish to share the sentiments of the land acknowledgement statement delivered earlier at the start of the regular meeting at this time. This is a public planning meeting as mentioned pursuant to Section 34 of the Ontario Planning Act. The purpose of this meeting is to provide the public with an opportunity to receive information, ask questions, and offer comments regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendments under Section 34 that are being considered by council. Section 34 addresses changes to zoning bylaws and regulate land use and development. If you wish to be notified of council's decision regarding the applications discussed today, please ensure you submit your request to myself, Robin Rogers, the municipal clerk. So we have 3 files on hand today, and we will begin with the first one being McCracken. This property is part lot 17, concession 6, geographic township of Cardiff, now in the municipality of Highlands East. It is located at 1067 Upper Potash Road. The roll number is 4601-101-000-5700, and the file number is RZ12-2026. We did receive comments from the County of Halliburton. The comments were that the zoning bylaw amendment is to recognize the existing non-compliant setback of the dwelling, deck, garage, and boathouse to the high water mark of Potash Lake and the interior side yard. The applicants are purchasing the original shoreline road allowance in front of the subject lands. The county has no concerns regarding the proposed amendment as it contains a holding provision to require site plan control prior to redevelopment of the site. The County of Halliburton's official plan and shoreline preservation bylaw both support the maintenance of native vegetation and trees within the minimum water setback. Property owners are advised that they should contact the County of Halliburton prior to vegetation removal or substantive site alteration within 20 meters of the high water mark of Potash Lake to ensure any work is permitted within the shoreline preservation bylaw. We did not receive any comments from the neighbors, so this time I would ask Chris Jones, the municipal planner, to provide an overview of the application.
Where'd I go? Morning, Mayor and Council. You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Chris.
So, as the clerk was saying, we have three applications for zoning amendment on the agenda today. This first one is the applicant's McCracken, part of lot 17, concession 6, and these folks are at 1067 Upper Potash Road. This lot is just shy of an acre in size with about 170 feet of shoreline frontage. They're in the process of acquiring the shore road allowance. And there's sorry, I got phones ringing here in the background. And there's a number of structures on the shore road allowance. You can, if you scroll forward to figure 2, you can see the existing dwelling and attached deck, as well as a boathouse with some accessory decking, as well as a connecting stair. Also to the top of the lot, you can see a detached garage. And so those all those structures are existing, no renovations, expansion, anything like that proposed. The boathouse and decking, I've been to the site. It's clearly been there for some time. The boathouse is a functional, operational in-water boathouse. There is no habitable space or anything like that. And so then the nature relief then at the top of page 3 would cover the dwelling at 13.6 meters, the attached deck at 9 meters, that detached garage 15.5 meters, and then also that detached garage is also in the is also encroaching in the interior side yard. Again, that garage, it is a operational or functional garage, which has been there for a long time. And lastly, of course, our zoning bylaw doesn't permit boathouses, and so the existing in-water boathouse, together with its attached decks, would also be recognized by the bylaw. There was a small tin shed in the also in the shore road allowance, but that the applicant has removed that. And so again, I've been to the property and I've seen sort of the existing buildings. I'm comfortable recommending that they be recognized. What I am going to recommend with this application is that it be zoned with holding provision. And that holding provision would require a site plan agreement at the time that renovation or changes to the buildings on the property would occur, particularly in relation to the boathouse, just to ensure that again the nature of the replacement structure is a like for like. And oh yeah, and lastly with this property, can we just go back? Yeah, go back to figure 2. So there is another sort of small anomaly with this property that the public road known as Upper Potash Road separates the rear part of the property, labeled here as Part 3, from the rest of the shoreline property. And so in cases like this, there's the prospect that given the physical separation by an intervening landowner, i.e. the municipality, that Part 3 could potentially be intentionally or unintentionally conveyed separately. So I have also added a provision in the bylaw that would essentially increase the rear yard for Part 3 to restrict buildings and structures on that property, just again as a measure to I guess not encourage a re-registration and transfer of what would be a very small parcel. That's my report, summary of this application. Mr. Mayor and Council, if there's any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Chris. Does council have any questions for Chris at this time? I'm seeing none. So we don't have the applicants in attendance, and I don't believe we have any members of the public in attendance either. And so, yeah, if council has no further questions, we'll move on to file number 2. This application pertains to Irwin. The property is located at part of Lot 5, Concession 4, Geographic Township of Cardiff, being Lot 6 on Plan 468, and part of the road allowance designated as Parts 1 and 2 on Registered Plan 19R 9489, now in the municipality of Highlands East. The civic address is 1587 Trent Drive, and the roll number is 4601-101-000-2800. File number is RZ 15-2026. The only comments we received were from the County of Halliburton, and their comments were that the zoning bylaw amendment is to recognize an existing non-compliant screened-in porch within the shoreline setback to Eels Lake. The county has no concerns regarding the proposed amendment. The County of Halliburton's official plan and shoreline preservation bylaw both support the maintenance of native vegetation and trees within the minimum water setback. And once again, property owners are advised that they should contact the County of Halliburton prior to vegetation removal or site alteration within the 20 meters of the high water mark of Eels Lake to ensure any work is permitted within the shoreline preservation bylaw. We did not receive any comments from any neighbors. And so, Chris, if you would speak to this application, please.
Thanks, Madam Clerk. This is application RZ 15-2026 submitted by Irwin. And you have my report there, and I will just note that I didn't write this report 6 years ago, but I just these folks are the former owners of this property, acquired the Shore Road in 2020, and so I use this report as a template to prepare the the updated version. I just didn't change the date. So as the clerk mentioned, this lot's at on Eels Lake at 1587 Trent Drive. As I said, the shore road was transferred. If we just scroll forward into the figure 2, the survey, the shore road, what you're essentially looking at there is an excerpt of the shore road allowance. So this is a very steep property, and it's essentially all development is pretty much near the water's edge. You can see the wood steps down, and you can also see just to the bottom of the dwelling, you can see the labeled railing for elevators. So there's like an inclinator that these folks use to. They have an upper parking area and then a sort of an elevator apparatus that assists them in moving stuff back and forth. Anyway, what has motivated this particular application is, again, if we look at that figure 2 survey, and you see the area labeled deck, and what has happened is they've enclosed a good portion of that existing deck into a screened-in room, and so the applicant has approached us to obtain a building permit and make that right. And the only way to get there is to update the zoning bylaw to recognize that what is a new screened-in room. And so again, I've been to the property. Sorry, let's just go back to figure 2, and I will say that one of the changes, because I do recall at the time of the original Shore Road disposition, just in the area of the boathouse, you can see another small structure, which my recollection was the point of some discussion back at the time of the Shore Road disposition. That structure has since been removed, and anyway, again, I've been to the property, and yeah, I mean, they shouldn't have put the structure up without a building permit, but it is located on an existing deck. It didn't cause a new encroachment. And again, the nature of the existing structures, location, the constraints really doesn't allow a lot in the way of opportunity, I guess, to construct or expand or that type of thing. What I am going to suggest here, again, I'm supportive of moving forward here. I am going to suggest that the actual consideration of the amending bylaw be deferred, and we'll request that these folks submit an application for a site plan agreement. And again, that will just be given the circumstances that we found ourselves in, that a site plan agreement, I think, would be a prudent way forward, to try to have some understanding between the municipality and the owner with respect to what's on the property and where it's located, how it's utilized. That's my summary, Mr. Mayor and Council. If there's any questions, let me know.
Thanks, Chris. Does council have any questions pertaining to this for Chris at this time? Seeing none. We don't have the applicants in attendance, nor do we have, I don't believe, any members of the public in attendance. So that will conclude this file. We will move on to file number 3, which pertains to Bolton. It's also 2784 897 Ontario Inc. This property is located at part of Lot 5, Concession 4, Geographic Township of Cardiff, being Lot 6 on Plan 468, and part of the road allowance designated as Part 1 and 2 on Registered Plan 19R 9489. I believe that description actually is not correct. I believe that was the description of Irwin. My apologies. But this property is located at 1148 Bel Air Lane. Roll number is 4601 102 000 18500. File number is RZ22 2026, and I believe this is in the Potash Lake area. Their only comments received was from the County of Halliburton, and They stated that this amendment is to recognize the existing non-compliant setback of the dwelling, deck, and accessory buildings to the high water mark of Potash. The applicants are purchasing the original shoreline road allowance in front of the subject lands. Again, the county only comments is regarding the shoreline preservation bylaw, and that to notify them if there is to be any work done in that area. To my knowledge, no comments were received from the neighbors. So Chris, if you could provide an overview, please.
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, the applicant's name is Bolton, and these folks are at on Potash Lake, part of lot 31, concession 8, former Cardiff, at 1148 Bel Air Lane. And it's a very large lot, over 6 acres in size, with 223 feet of shoreline frontage. Lots occupied by an existing dwelling, attached decks, small storage shed, a privy, 2 docks. As the clerk mentioned, they're in the process of acquiring the shore road allowance. And so if we just scroll forward to figure 2, you see the nature of the part 1 being the portion to be transferred, part 2 being the drowned or the underwater portion of the road allowance to be retained. So the amendment would have the effect of recognizing the location of the existing structures, that being the dwelling, with the nearest corner at just over 14 meters, the attached deck, 15 meters at one corner, 12 meters at the other. The storage shed at 13.8, minimum side yard for that privy is very close to the lot line at 0.4, and this lot also has 2 docks, whereas the zoning bylaw permits 1. I've been to the property, and this lot is also characterized by substantial relief. But it's a very large property, and shoreline is in a relatively natural state. The presence of those 2 existing docks hasn't seemed to deteriorate or cause the shoreline to become sort of unnatural. And on balance, I'm supportive of the application for amendment. I believe the amendment is in the agenda for council's consideration today, and that's my summary, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Chris. Council, do you have any questions pertaining to this application? Seeing none. We also don't have the applicants for this file in attendance, nor do we have any members of the public who wish to comment. And so if council has no further questions, we will come forward with our recommendation.
Please.
That council receive and accept the reports as provided by the municipal planner pertaining to the rezoning amendments for McCracken, Irwin, and Bolton, and the council approve the rezoning amendment for McCracken and Bolton at this meeting, and the council defer the zoning amendment for Irwin until such time a site plan agreement is submitted to the municipality by the owner.
Have someone move? Deputy Mayor Weil, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Adjournment.
The council adjourned the public planning meeting at 10:48 a.m. and that council reconvened to the regular meeting of council.
Someone move. Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, department reports, planning department monthly.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Today's planning agenda includes my monthly report and some planning applications for Mayor and Council's consideration. Before you is my monthly operations report for the planning department, and I am available to answer any questions you should have.
Questions, comments, resolution?
The council receive and accept the planning department June 2026 operations report as submitted by the planning technician as information only.
Could have someone move? Counselor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. The shoreline road allowance purchase bylaw to stop up and close and convey.
Shoreline road allowance purchase a bylaw to stop up, close and convey applicant Schmidt Lechner. The municipality received a complete application to purchase the shoreline road allowance on September 4th, 2025. A plan of survey was provided at the time of the application. The application was then forwarded to DeVry Smith and Frank LLP, the municipality solicitor. The application has been processed in accordance with the municipality shoreline road allowance policy and council's prior direction, including approval in principle and the requirement that zoning and building compliance matters be resolved to the satisfaction of the planning and building staff prior to the final conveyance. End of report.
Questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept this report and the recommendation in this report to declare surplus and approve the bylaw to stop up, close and convey the original shore road allowance at this meeting for applicant Schmidt-Lechner. Description of land, concession 8, part lot 31, 1104 Bel Air Lane, Potash Lake, roll number 4601-102-000-18-100.
Someone move? Deputy Mayor Ryle, second by Counselor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, shoreline road allowance purchase a bylaw stop up and close and convey.
Shoreline road allowance purchase a bylaw to stop up, close and convey applicant Schmidt Lechner case. Municipality received a complete application to purchase the shoreline road allowance on September 4th, 2025, and a plan of survey was provided at the time of application. The application was forwarded to DeVry Smith Frank LLP, the municipality solicitor, and the application has been processed in accordance with the municipality's shoreline road allowance policy and council's prior direction, including the approval in principle and the requirement that the zoning and building compliance matters be resolved to the satisfaction of planning and building staff prior to final conveyance. End of report.
Thank you. Any questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept this report and the recommendation in this report to declare surplus and approve the bylaw to stop up, close and convey the original shore road allowance at this meeting for applicant Schmidt-Lechner Hicks. Description of land, concession 8, part lot 31, 1112 Bel Air Lane, Potash Lake, roll number 4601-102-000-18-400.
Could have someone move? Counselor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Shoreline road allowance purchase bylaw stop up and close and convey.
Shoreline road allowance purchase a bylaw to stop up, close and convey applicant Gubbles. The municipality received a complete application to purchase the shoreline road allowance on October 3rd, 2025. Plan of survey was not provided with the application at the time of submission, but has since been provided. The application was forwarded to DeVry Smith Frank LLP, the municipality solicitor. The application has been processed in accordance with the municipality shoreline road allowance policy and the council's prior direction, including the approval in principle and the requirements that zoning and building compliance matters be resolved to the satisfaction of planning and building staff prior to final conveyance. End of report.
Questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept this report and the recommendation in this report to declare surplus and approve the bylaw to stop up, close and convey the original shore road allowance at this meeting for applicant Gubbles. Description of land, concession 13 and 14, parts lot 2 and 3, 1391 Ferguson Road, Little Glamour Lake, roll number 4601-602-000-00209.
Could I have someone move? Counselor Strong, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Encroachment agreement?
Encroachment agreement, Dietrich, 1043 Tall Pine Road. This report is requesting council's authorization to enter into an encroachment agreement with the owners of 1043 Tall Pine Road and to pass the associated bylaw. The Dietrich property is located across the road located across from Tall Pine Road from the municipality owned shoreline road allowance. Because the property is not directly adjacent to the shoreline road allowance, the owners are not eligible to purchase it. As a part of the requirements for operating a short-term rental, the owners are required to enter into an encroachment agreement for the use of municipal lands. The owners have completed the required survey, submitted the plan of survey and insurance documentation, and the encroachment has been reviewed in accordance with the municipality's use of municipal land bylaw. During the review, an intervening strip of land was identified and confirmed to be under municipal ownership. The agreement has been reviewed by the municipal solicitor. The agreement formalizes the use of municipal lands, limits municipal liability, ensures ongoing compliance with municipal requirements, and allows the owners to satisfy the short-term rental licensing requirements. Staff are recommending that council authorize the agreement and pass the accompanying bylaw. End of report.
Any questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept the report encroachment agreement detritus as prepared by the planning technician, and the council pass the bylaw to enact the encroachment agreement for the detritus property at this meeting.
Can if someone move? Counselor Lewis, second by Counselor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Building. Thanks, Carmen. Building Department monthly. Colin?
Okay, good morning, Mayor and Council. So we have the June monthly summary for building. I'm sure Council's seen the report. The building numbers still continue to be lower than the last few years, so it seems like that's going to continue at this point. I would also like to wish Tracy Evans, officially Tracy Hooverman, all the best. She's retiring here in a few more weeks, so I just wanted to wish her all the best. And that's the end of my report for today, but I can answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Colin. Any questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept the building department June 2026 operations report as submitted by the chief building official as information only.
If someone move? Counselor Strong, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Bylaw operations report. Wayne?
Morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you, you have the monthly operations report for June. It just continues on and on and on. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Questions for Wayne? Seeing that resolution?
The council receive and accept the bylaw department June 2026 operations report as submitted by the bylaw officer.
If someone move? Counselor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Dog bylaw update.
Before you, you have the bylaw update. As was requested the last council meeting. I've gone through the bylaw and highlighted everything in red that has been changed, I believe. If I attach the right one.
You did.
Most of it is just updating the kennel licenses, the dangerous dogs, muzzles, orders, administrative penalties, etc. Added some definitions. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Questions, Counselor Lewis?
Now, Wayne, with the muzzle orders, now, so if a different jurisdiction has a muzzle order on a specific dog and they come up here, do you have any way of finding out or if that muzzle order is on that dog, as we've had prior incidents with this?
Yeah, the problem with muzzle orders are they're restricted to the area that the muzzle order is issued in. Unless you go under the Dog Owner Liability Act, which is a provincial statute, then it's anywhere in Ontario. But a muzzle order issued out of Oshawa, we'll say, is only good in the city of Oshawa.
Any other
However, it
questions?
would give us, if there's a muzzle order already in place in Oshawa, we could continue that and issue an order here so that when the dog is here, it has to be on a muzzle.
Deputy Mayor Brown.
Wayne, is there any way for you to find out that information, or did you just come across it by happen chance?
Most of the people will know, unless you specifically phone, Oshawa, Durham, whatever, you'll never come across it. A provincial order is on what they call the Canadian Police Information Center, and you could access it through the OPP, but like an order issued out of a municipality, it's not recorded anywhere other than the municipality. So you'd have to phone that municipality.
Questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept the report dog bylaw update as prepared by the bylaw enforcement officer, and further, the council reviewed and provide comments on the proposed amendments to the updated dog bylaw, and the council directs the amended bylaw be forwarded to the municipal solicitor for review prior to passage at a future meeting.
If someone move, Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Draft municipal recreation area bylaw.
Yes. I guess at this time, I would ask that the bylaw be deferred. As recent as last Thursday, it was brought to my attention that the business licensing bylaw contradicts this bylaw. So until we can get the business licensing bylaw straightened out, we're just in contravention of one another. So I would ask that it be deferred until the next meeting, and I can have discussions with the clerk and the CAO and decide whether to rescind the business license bylaw or do something with it. It's unfortunate. There was a lot of work put into this, and then to find out that another bylaw is contradicting it is frustrating.
Say at least. Any questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept the draft municipal recreation area bylaw report as submitted by the bylaw enforcement officer for information purposes, and the council defer this bylaw for further review pending receipt of additional information from staff as amended.
Let someone move. Councillor Lewis, second by Deputy Mayor Ryle. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Short-term rental licenses report. Oh,
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Before you today is a short-term rental licensing report, which is being presented for Council's information. The report provides a monthly operational update on the short-term rental program, including licensing activity enforcement and revenue reporting. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
questions? Resolution?
The council receive and accept the short-term rental licensing report, May 2026, as submitted by the short-term rental clerk as information only.
If someone move. Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Short-term rental bylaw revision report.
On June 23rd, 2026, staff presented potential revisions to the short-term rental licensing bylaw as discussed at the meeting. We proposed amendments and intend to address identified gaps and improvements to overall clarity, completeness, and effectiveness of the bylaw. The proposed changes included the removal of an addition of selected definitions, So I attached for your review the short-term rental licensing bylaw potential revisions as presented at the June 23rd meeting of council. And I've also attached the consolidated short-term rental licensing bylaw revised. Do you have any questions?
Questions, comments? Cease?
Yeah, I have a fair number on the actual bylaw itself, so I'm not sure how you want to handle it. Just ask them or go from there.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Fire away.
So as I was going back through it again, I noticed a few things and just wanted some clarity, I think, more than anything else. In 2.2, you've got section H and it says additional residential dwelling unit, which is situated in waterfront area. For the purposes of this bylaw, the parcel of, I'm trying to read exactly what it says here. The purpose of this bylaw, a parcel of urban residential land means a parcel of land that is located in the settlement where residential issues are permitted. I'm not even sure what that means. Well, what does that paragraph mean? What does H mean?
Brittany?
If I may, so 2.2 discusses that no person shall market, operate, provide, or allow the use of a short-term rental in, and what they're saying is an additional residential dwelling unit, so an ADU, it not being rented together with the dwelling unit. So you can't rent your ADU and your dwelling unit as two separate rental operation, like rentals. They have to be together if you're going to do that rental unit. And they cannot be on waterfront area designations or parcels that are considered urban residential lands per our comprehensive zoning bylaw.
So does this count things like duplexes and, or not?
No, they're two separate things. You have your dwelling unit, your primary dwelling unit, and if the property has an accessory dwelling unit on the property, what it's saying is you cannot rent that ADU separately from the dwelling. They are together. If you rent the property as a short-term rental, both properties be rented at the same time. They're not individual rentals.
Like a bunkie on another place.
Correct.
Similar. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
2.5, I'm just trying to figure that one too. It basically says, and I understand the intent of it, shall operate short-term rental for special events. Yeah, special events kind of go in the whole with the cattle or fish. So I got my family over, we rented a short-term rental. It's my son's birthday. Am I allowed to celebrate his birthday?
2.5 is saying you have to have a license. You can't say, well, because I'm having my son's birthday, I'm having a short-term rental. Like, it doesn't matter what the event is. If you're offering it as a short-term rental, you can have the event, but you are licensed to be a short-term rental.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said. I mean, here's the way let me give you the example I'm thinking of. I have a short-term rental. I rented it out to somebody. They came in and they're enjoying the thing. And then their 6-year-old son has a birthday party. Okay, he doesn't invite a whole lot of people, but it's a birthday party on the property. That's illegal?
No, that's not the intent of that. You may have the birthday party. What they're saying is you can't rent it just for the purpose of that event. If you're a rental, you can have the event there, like if you're there for the week or a couple of days, but you can't just rent it for that special event only. It has to be for a license. You're renting it for not just special events. It's for a rental to come in, have it for a couple of days, a week or whatever. And if you want to celebrate your child's birthday, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's clear
Yeah.
in there. I don't want to see, you don't want to rent it for the sole purpose of having a buck and dough. I mean, I get that, so that's not the issue.
There's also limitations on how many people you're allowed to rent to, so that limits that. There's other parts in the bylaw that will address that if that ever came up.
Okay. Just a clarity issue, 3.3 still references demerit points. I'm not sure if we took them out enough. We did. Then maybe we should just have a quick check there. Just going through the list here. 4.2. The licensee shall be required to provide at least 10 days notice prior to the cancellation or material variance to the policy, which means, I guess, the substance of their insurance policy has changed. And they have to supply that within 10 days notice. Okay, now the question becomes, what if they don't know? I mean, they're not trying to violate, they just got canceled. Somebody just canceled them. Now they're saying this, oh, now I'm in trouble. If they don't know about it until after it's canceled. And I have people who've had that for some reason, I don't know why, but they've canceled their insurance. If they contact us right away, is there a way for them to appeal that?
We work with people, like if somebody's like, oh, I didn't realize our policy is canceled, like we work with them. Like if they call in, we'll help them however we can. And usually they're pretty quick to call their agent and get their insurance. Now, if it's a situation where they violated something and their insurance company is saying you're not insurable, well, then you can't have a license.
No, I understand it. I understand.
Yeah.
I
But
just
no,
want to make sure.
we work with people as best we can within the bylaw.
Okay, as long as there's an opportunity for an appeal there, then that's all I care about. Is in the sense that if it's righteous, for the lack of a better term, then they have the ability to appeal without all kinds of challenges, is all I'm saying. 5.5 is kind of an interesting one. Trying to figure that one out too. It says for water access only. And then it says something to the tune of one dedicated dock slip per property. Is that implying there's more than one property on the island? Or I'm not sure how that works. If it's a dock, if it's a slip on the dock, it's got to be dedicated. They own the island, so I'm trying to figure out what that wording is all about. And the second one that follows below that is one dedicated off-street parking, which would be interesting on an island.
So I think that's in regards to, I think they're off Potash, there's water access only, and there's more than one dwelling on that island per se. So I think that's to cover that. We don't want people renting out water access and having nowhere for the renters to park. So it's just a stipulation that there has to be a parking space available if you're going to rent.
But if the parking space obviously is not going to be on the island.
No,
No,
So-
it would be at the dock.
So therefore, how is that going to be an issue? Like, how are they going to be able to control that is my question. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that we have that there only because if they park it, because they'll have whoever's got the car is illegally parked. Therefore, they're the ones that should get the ticket. And so there's really no need to bring this into play. If you've illegally parked the car anywhere, you've got a plate, you charge the person who's illegally parked. But what you're basically saying is they now have to make absolutely sure that there's somebody there, there's some place for them to park, even in a public area. So if they're going to, like, say, for instance, down towards Wanakita, and they want to go across to the island on the other side, they have to have a parking spot somewhere there, which is a public slip, and there's no way they're going to get that.
Rip,
If I may, so as part of a short-term rental license, in order to receive your license on your site plan, part of the site plan is that you show the number of parking spaces for that subject property. So when it comes to a water access only property, you typically don't have a driveway in order to park your car. So what we are saying, because we've seen this before, where someone will say, well, you can just park on the road allowance. No, that is a road allowance. That's not a dedicated parking area that you own. So if you have a dedicated docking slip for each of the properties, to Stacy's point earlier, there are islands that may be owned by more than one person. So if there's more than one rental, you need to have a docking slip as well as a dedicated parking spot for your renters to come park their vehicle in that parking space in order to utilize the short-term rental. Because as the bylaw sits right now, we currently don't have anything that speaks to water access properties, so we're trying to get them to be as compliant as the properties that are not water access only, so that they're playing with the same set of rules.
I don't have any problem, I stand corrected on that first part, it makes sense. Now that I read it back through, you're right. If there's multiple properties on an island, each one has to have their own, if they're gonna be a short-term rental. But with the other one, I mean, it becomes, I have people drop me off and then leave. They take all my stuff, I go across and I leave, so now that's the end of it. But I still have to have a parking spot. I just have a real problem with the parking spot for islands. Because at the end of the day, there's other ways of controlling that without having to put it into the short-term rental bylaw. That's all I'm saying. We're talking about noise, you're talking about all kinds of other things. This is one where illegal parking can be handled in a different way.
Comments? Good.
Just that if you're going to have dedicated parking spots for the other short-term rentals per the number of bedrooms, your site plan, that you should be dedicating a parking spot to your water access, because in order to get to the water, you must have probably drove a vehicle there in order to unload your items to get to the vessel that's taking you across to. And all we're saying is that you have a dedicated spot, so they aren't parking along the roadways and then it becomes an illegal parking issue, so that or parking along a road allowance or just wherever they shouldn't be parking. This way it's dedicated. That's where they know when they rent the property, there's your parking space, there's your docking slip, and that's how you get across to the property. Again, it's up to council discretion.
Go ahead.
Hands up.
Well, I think that we have to have just one set of rules, not two. And so if they have to have a designated parking space, then I think that's where it has to be.
There's no problem. That's fine. If that's the decision, then I can live with that too. Okay. 516, which is, I'm just curious about that one. Did we actually have a sign that says this is a rental property? And it has to be posted at the 911. Is that what I'm understanding?
We do not.
We do not.
I don't think we provide it.
So why do we have it in the bylaw?
I think it's the owner. Is it not the owner's responsibility to display that they are operating?
But we're supplying the municipal bylaw, which we don't have. I think that's either we gotta come up with a sign, or we remove that until we get one.
Good.
I have 5.16. What it basically says is a short-term rental sign issued by the municipality shall be displayed to identify a short-term rental property and shall be located near the vicinity of the 911 address sign.
And the question was?
Well, the question is, we don't have a sign, so why would we have that there?
Good.
Or have I got an older?
It was my understanding initially when the program was first starting that we were going to have a sign listed at the end of the property to identify as a short-term rental. I would have to go back and confer with some other staff members, because we had discussion at one time as to whether we were going to have a set standard as to they provide their own signage, or if we were going to say, here is the dimensions and put that at the end of the property. I'm going to have to go back and just confer with staff before we either remove or update that section of the bylaw.
Okay, because in my opinion, I just don't see the value in it, so I really think we should take it out, but anyway, that's my opinion. It states here too, where a license, this is 6.7. Where a licensee fails to renew a license within 90 days of a renewal date, the licensee shall be canceled. Got that. Effective on the date of renewal. Upon cancellation, an application for a new license shall be required. In my case, I'm asking in certain circumstances where that might happen. An example could be an accident, could be a stroke, could be anything in that general category, which makes it impossible for that person to do anything. According to this, it's a done deal. Now, shouldn't there be something that basically says subject to mitigating circumstances, or something that basically gives the person an out and not have to go through the whole process all over again, just because they're not capable of filling it out. And if they're have stroke or incapacitated, they're not going to be able to let you know. Now you're assuming that whoever their caretaker is going to handle all of that. I don't think that's right either.
We have had a couple licensees who have essentially forgot, and they're just like, oh, we're renewing, we totally forgot, and they've reached out and we were able to extend it for them. We can reach out to Granicus and Granicus is able to allow them, because what happens is once their license expires, they're no longer able to renew through the platform, but we can contact Granicus and say, hey, can you open this back up? They want to renew.
And I have no problem with that whole process. The problem I had with is they shall reapply. To me, it's a screw up or whatever we want to be. People are people, and there should be some kind of a mitigating circumstance, an appeal or something. It should be mentioned that unless appealed, or some wording that allows the person who has lost their license to appeal, which at this point in time, this one does not.
I work with everyone. So if somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, this expired, I would like to renew, I totally forgot the date, we can use documentation they've already submitted from last year to proceed with the renewal. Most times they have to be issued a new license number, because the old one, maybe we can't activate depending on how Granicus is to work with that day. But regardless, they're in the system. So if it's a new license number, or if I'm able to renew the old one and give them some more time, I work with people. I've probably done 4 or 5 that are renewals that actually were issued new licenses because they reached out and said, hey, like this happened and can you work with us? Yep, we can. But people who just blatantly let their license lapse and don't contact us but continue to rent, no, they get to apply again.
Okay, I get that.
Angela?
We send out renewal letters.
Granicus does send, I believe it's 60 days. It's either 60 or 30 days before they do get an email. As long as their email is the same as what they applied with, they will get a renewal notification from Granicus.
Cease?
No.
Brittany?
So just as we're going through here, I am taking notes of some suggested changes and revisions for bringing this back. So 6.7, we'll make a note of reviewing that section to look at some wording to your point about in regards.
It's just wording.
Yeah.
It's just wording.
Okay.
The other thing too, under 7.1, B and D, those are 2 that are in that area. It says here under B, the premises has had a license that has been previously revoked, suspended, or made subject to the terms and conditions. Now, I got that. If it's been remediated, does that still stand? Because this is basically saying guilty until you're continually guilty. Now, if I'm wrong in the way I'm interpreting that, then that's fair too. But I would assume at some point in time, if you've been terminated, or whatever the correct word is for stop, and now you've gone in and you have sorted it out, because you had previous ones, it shouldn't be held against you in terms of being able to get a new one.
No, that's not the case. If your license is revoked for whatever reason, if you can address those concerns and become compliant, you can be issued a license again.
Okay, because I just want to make sure that that's crystal clear.
Britt?
What that wording is also giving though, is it gives the director the authority to do so. So if you've had it revoked but gotten it back, maybe you also have a property that's been suspended for other reasons. Maybe they are loud partiers and we get a lot of large complaints. And so their license has been suspended. So maybe the director goes, okay, yes, we're not going to renew until you've, shown that you're going to be a courteous neighbor, proper rental operator. It's allowing the director to have the authority if they should choose to do so. That's why the wording is there.
The only problem I have with that is, you get it into a point where somebody gets caught in a situation and somebody violates it. And now they get revoked, and that's fair because that's what's supposed to happen. And then they find out, of course, that it had to do with improper vetting. They didn't vet their people properly, and that's an area on their part. But at the end of the day, it's almost been impossible for them to prove that they're responsible if they can't rent the apartment, can't rent the property. I mean, they have to be able to rent the property. Now, if there's a 2-strike rule or a 3-strike rule that basically says, hey, you've already done this before, dude. You've done it again. You're done. You're finished. You had your chance. You're not having it again. But to me, I just want to make sure at the end of the day that if somebody gets caught in a situation where they may or may not have been in total control of the situation, that they have the ability, that they let it happen, so they're guilty. It's no argument there. But they got it back, and now they want to be able to go through a trial period or whatever the case may be. And if that is the case, I don't have a problem with that either. But the point, it just basically says here, it's revoked. So I'm just wondering for clarity there.
I can't speak for, in my short time, we've had nobody with any kind of issues like that. I know we look for facts when we do get complaints and stuff, like somebody calls and complains about noise. Well, we weren't there. We don't know. They can go through bylaw and they can vet it and that can be something too, but we're not just going to take the word of one over another. Like, so, but I work with people. So like, if
I don't expect an answer right now. I'm just bringing up situations that could happen and would happen.
I don't think that the bylaw is ever going to cover every single situation we're ever going to encounter. Like, we're going to have to work within what we have. And there's always going to be a one-off.
Yeah, I've made a note of 7.1B just for us to go back while we're making some other noted changes as well to look at that before we bring forward again.
I think it's just a wording issue. I'm not trying to do anything contrary to that. The other thing too is I've talked to other municipalities, and this is in D, where you have some really solid people trying to operate effectively, and their septic program isn't exactly in time with what they're capable of doing, or whatever that might be. In many cases, the ability to sit down with that STR operator and look at how can we bring you compliant with the current existing system that you've got. Either you got to figure out how to get rid of one of your bedrooms or whatever the case may be. Do we do any of that, or do we just walk out and say, okay, you got 3, have a nice day, you're done, because you don't have a septic system big enough? How do we handle it?
We do work with them. If somebody, for instance, I had someone apply on a 2-bedroom septic system and they had 4 bedrooms. So their options are we can approve, they have to get a change of use for 2 bedrooms. So they can only rent to 2 as per the bylaw, and like, I think building bylaws and stuff like that, like the septic is a septic for however many bedrooms you have. So they can do a change of use for 2 of the bedrooms. and be legally able to rent 2 of them, or they can upgrade their septic system.
Yep.
We give them all their options for sure.
Okay, as long as they got the options, that's all I care about.
Yeah, we don't deny people and say absolutely not, you're not renting. We'll give them whatever we can give them, and then the option's up to them what they choose.
Okay, the other one is 7.5. I think it's got the demerit point thing in it again. It says where the total of all demerit points. It's just a, you know. I don't even know where I wrote that. Oh, yeah. In the case, 8.1, it reads that any work that is required to be done, and that in the event of default of such work, the officer may direct someone else to do it. Why don't we just cancel a license? Why do we, how do we have the right to go in and correct this problem at their expense? That's not our job. Our job is to make sure at the end of the day that if it's not safe, it's shut down. And if they choose to repair it, that's great. And if they don't choose to repair it, then they don't have a license. Like this says here that if, depending on, and the circumstances are not clear the way this is worded, that the director has the ability to say, no, we're gonna upgrade your septic system. Have a nice day.
Good.
Yeah, again, the wording's there in the event it ever got to an escalated, this isn't, we wouldn't take this action right off the bat, but the wording is there in order that an officer may, if it gets to the point of being escalated, where they have that opportunity to do so, it's available to them. We always try not to go worst case scenario. We want to work with our licensee holders. So this would be a last case scenario, but the option at least is there in the event we ever needed it.
The only reason I'm bringing that one up, Red, is because we take their license away. Therefore, they can no longer operate as an STR. We already have rules that are in place for illegally operating an STR without the need to go and correct their property. If they have a building code violation, that's a whole different scenario. Then the building department gets brought in. But I don't think the STR bylaw should have the right to do that. Shut them down? Yes. Force them to correct something under an STR program? I don't think so. And again, this is just another one of these. I'm pretty sure that we would never go this far, but nevertheless, it's just the way it's worded. 9.6 basically says that the licensee fails to appear from the appointed time for their request to appeal. Okay, and then they're on their way there and they get smacked in an accident. Or something else happens, there's a death in the family. Or there's a situation that would take priority over this particular meeting. I'm going to assume, for the sake of argument, that again, there would be some kind of an appeal or an opportunity to reschedule. Okay, but it's pretty straightforward here that you don't have that option. So if you could just kind of look at that a little bit. The 12.2, we're mentioning the first administrative penalty as $250. I think we were talking about the possibility of coming up with a whole gambit, because now that we've taken the demerit point system out, we're now going to end up with a gambit of penalties that are going to be associated with that. Would it make sense to just have that part of that schedule or appendix, as opposed to sitting there all by itself? Just a question.
So right now, when we previously wrote the bylaw, we included administrative penalties into our short-term rental bylaw. We didn't just do demerit points, we did both. When the new AMPS bylaw is created and we have all the appropriate schedules and fees outlined, these fees will be incorporated in that one as well.
Okay, but so we're going to leave it here for now.
Yes.
It will be taken out later. Okay, fair enough. And then the other one that kind of excites me, and I always asked this question a long time ago, is when you're talking about, this goes under 13, in fact, all of 13. It says any person who contravenes any provision of this bylaw or fails to comply with an order issued pursuant to this bylaw on the first offense cannot have more than $50,000. I'm thinking first offense of what? That would accumulate to $50,000. It doesn't make sense. And the second offense would be $100,000. I'm not sure if this was done initially because of the situation when this was written. It was written when COVID was in full swing. There was an awful lot of people doing a lot of weird things, and it was put in there. And I think all of the bylaws have that in there. But to me, if you're going to put a thing that says no more than $50,000, there better be more than one sentence that explains what $50,000 adds up to and what it entails. Because it could be anything, and I don't think there's enough clarity there. And the same thing goes with 13.2, where you're talking about first offense 50,000 and another one. It's repeated there as well. So if we could get just better clarity on what all that stuff means, so it's easier for the operators to know what's going on.
When the bylaw was initially prepared and presented, the idea behind the high offenses and penalties was to deter people from doing, the illegal rentals or, having septic systems that, like, having the higher amount. I'm not saying that we would necessarily go this route, but if you had a property that continued to go against the bylaw, and the higher amounts were set there, those thresholds, to make a point of we're taking this very seriously, and that matter holds high thresholds. That was the intent at the time when it was prepared and brought forward to all the lower tiers.
So, and I have no problem with that because I was part of that. Is this something that maybe could be included in the fees and things that you were talking about, as opposed to putting it in here? I mean, I understand it's here now. I got that. But when you're revising and indicating all of the fines and various administrative fines that are going to be put into place, could we not put a section there that has a little bit more clarity in regard to what the heck this is all about? Because right now it just looks like at some point in time, I can get zapped 50 grand. And there's no anywhere in this bylaw that identifies what would trigger that to happen. It just basically says at the discretion of, well, it doesn't even say that, but it says that somebody could just make a decision that we're going to fine you $40,000. And now we're going to, well, I'm going to go take you to court for sure, because I'm never going to stand for that. But do you think possibly when we do the fees over, we could have a section in there that would identify this a little bit better and take it out of here, or make reference to it?
I'll confer with our bylaw officers, but I do believe the offense and penalty will stay in this bylaw. Administrative monetary penalties and those fees and charges surrounding that are separate. Like, they're a separate entity. Those can apply those fees. These are provincial offenses opportunities and under the Provincial Offences Act. So I think you'll see it stay here. But again, taking these notes back, refer and confer with our bylaw department just on that question alone.
And if it stays there and it says additional information available, that would probably be part of the solution, because right now there's no place to go. I don't know how I can't be prosecuted for something I don't know. But if I know and I go ahead and do it anyway, then it's 50 grand, dude. That's the way it's going to work. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, that's it for me.
Is that all? All right. Other questions? Resolution.
The council receive and accept the short-term rental bylaw revisions report as submitted by the short-term rental clerk as information, and the council reviewed and provided additional comments on the proposed amendments to the short-term rental licensing bylaw. And further, that council directs staff to bring the finalized version of the bylaw forward for consideration at a future meeting as amended.
Can someone move? Councillor Lewis, second by Councillor Strong. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Short-term rental web page and map usage report.
Following the June 23rd meeting of council, staff conducted or contacted the municipal webmaster regarding insight into usage of the municipal website, specifically the short-term rental licensing page and the short-term rental dashboard map. The webmaster was able to pull statistics for the map only as it is embedded on the main short-term rental information page. Stating this, he was able to pull statistics from the main page. So just a few points, I guess. Since the introduction of the map on September 16th, 2025, the short-term rental webpage has shown consistent user engagement and remains one of the most frequently accessed areas of the municipal website. So total page views, active users, an average engagement time 1 minute, which is actually pretty long, I think, for a single page. The STR page ranks as the 11th most visited page across the entire website during this period. Staff recommend maintaining the dashboard map as it is a useful tool for both the public and municipal staff. The map has provided practical value. For example, residents and staff have used it to identify and report potential unlicensed short-term rentals to the municipality. For council's information, the municipal STR dashboard map displays less detail than the publicly available County of Haliburton Community GIS map. While the STR dashboard map includes license number and addresses, the county map allows users to view additional property information, including roll number, municipal address, civic number, street name, and township name. Feedback indicates that concerns for licensed STR operators regarding the map represent very small portion when compared to the broader public interest and support for this tool. Overall, the map contributes positively to transparency, awareness, and compliance within the community. Additionally, removing the map would result in Highlands East being the only municipality within the county without a similar resource. Consultation with neighboring municipalities has confirmed that their interactive STR maps remain in place and are intended to continue as part of their programs. Do you have any questions?
Okay, questions? Please.
I've made my opinion based on what a lot of people have talked to me about their STR operators. We had a third option, which we chose not to go through, and that's voluntary. You could either have it or you won't. So at this day now, you've got the choice, none. You either, if you want to be an STR operator, it has to be on the map. That's the end of it. Case closed, no options. Which contradicts about a half a dozen of the ones that I spoke to. So in my opinion, I am against having only two options. If there was one where you could volunteer, I would certainly support that. But where there's only the two choices, completely the way it is, or remove it, I would have to go with remove it.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Do any of the other municipalities have an opt-in or opt-out option?
They do not.
So I'm going to ask for the recommendation. I'm going to suggest that we take option 1 and put it on the table. Just to remove. I'm not making it, I'm just suggesting to them. Could someone move that?
I would make the move, but I probably won't get a second here.
Nope, there was not any support for it.
Okay.
Option 2.
Okay. Second.
Would it be not possible to have option three?
That's my question.
Yeah, would it not be possible to have option three, that it's up to the licensee whether they want it on the dashboard or not?
I think it's important to maintain consistency. Like they're applying for essentially a business license to operate. They're inviting strangers into their home to rent. The map is not invasive as far as the information we're providing. And the majority of the public, I briefly went through all the surveys, and I think I could count 5 or 6 that were against it. So that's a very small amount of, I mean, at the end of the day, if they don't want their name on the map, they don't have to get a license.
Please.
Again, I hear what Rick is saying. I would support an option 3. I will not support a requirement. And I understand what you're saying. It's all great. But at the end of the day, the people who are doing this, operating it legally, do not want it. There's nothing legal unless it's in this particular bylaw that says they have to. So we're enforcing something that people do not want, the operators themselves. The rest of the world may or may not want it. That's entirely up to them. I don't smoke because I choose not to. Not because I'm forced not to.
So is there a possibility of option 3?
The options before council today are just the staff options we're putting forward. Council has the authority to do, and but you can make your own options and your own recommendations as you see fit for the sake of the program. So if it is council's intent and wishes to do that, you have the right to do so.
Angela?
So when this first came out, I was always for, opt in or opt out. So I would definitely be for the opt in, opt out third option.
Please.
If Councillor Lewis would move, I would second.
All right, ready resolution up.
So, okay, so we have Councillor Lewis as mover, seconder, Deputy Mayor Rael to the following recommendation. That council receive and accept the short-term rental web page and map usage report as submitted by the short-term rental clerk as information. And further, that council chooses that STR applicants have the option to opt in or out of the use of the dashboard map.
Okay. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Council, I'd like to just call it a 5-minute break.
Welcome back. We'll pick up where we left off. Fire. Okay, we're shaking each other to each other. One of us has got to say something. Okay, waiting on Chris.
Good morning, Deputy Mayor and Council. Before you have the monthly operations report for June, showing 30 calls for June, 165 calls to date. It's showing 2 calls for Station 1, 3 calls for Station 2, 11 calls for Station 3, 12 calls for Station 4, and 2 for Station 6. One of the events that took place in June was the Emergency Management Annual Exercise. On June 22nd, 2026, the communities of Dysart et al., Minden Hills, Highlands East, Algonquin Highlands, and the County of Haliburton met to conduct a simulated flooding exercise. The room had approximately 50 municipal emergency control group members and partners from across the area, including elected officials. The OPP, the health unit, and members of emergency preparedness and response also participated. The group was broken into functions of the incident management system and included a table for the community emergency management coordinators, a table for elected officials, members of the municipal emergency control groups from across the communities sat at their respective control group functions or assumed a function. The exercise simulated the conditions experienced in the 2026 flooding scenario, Minden Hills, with 2 facilitators providing the scenario and the injections of information. 2 major cycles of operation occurred, with each table recording their actions, and a brief report was provided to the room. Discussions were held after each section. Moving on, the July 1st deadline for the Ontario Regulation 343-22 firefighter certification is now in force. Above is the look at where our certification numbers stand to date. At least 50% have completed the necessary training courses and passed the provincial exams and skill testing, giving them their certification. 19% has completed a portion or all of the required training, but have not yet completed the required testing. 11% have some or all of the required training, but need more time to complete their training, or it was done elsewhere, and we are waiting for verification. The remaining 5% will be enrolled in the 2027 Haliburton County Recruit Program. As of July 1st, new hires will now have 36 months to obtain their certification. That was just an update for council's information. That's the end of that report.
The only thing I can say, Chris, is that was an awesome conference that we had there. The exercise was really, really great. Well done, and everything else. Everybody took place. I thought it was great. Any other comments or yes, Councilor Lewis?
Hi, Chris, is there any way that we can get a breakdown of these percentages as they pertain to each fire station in your, in August report?
Certainly, as long as it doesn't bring up any privacy issues with any of the members, we can certainly do that.
Any other questions, comments? Councilor Strong.
Yes, I was wondering if it would be possible for the fire department to run a CPR course, or do you do that anymore?
We have an individual that's actually on the fire department that will run courses anytime she is available. So if there's something in particular, a date you're looking for, councilor, certainly reach out and we can organize that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Motion.
The council even accept the fire department July 2020 monthly operations report as submitted by the fire as informational.
Have a mover, Councilor Lewis, seconded by Councilor Strong. All in favor? Carried. I am voting. In that case, I also agree. Very good. Parks and Recreation.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. On behalf of our Property Supervisor, Jim Alden, who couldn't be with us today, just some updates with regards to what's been happening in the Parks and Rec Department. So as council will see from Jim's report, again, it's summer season is here and very busy with grass cutting and grounds maintenance. We do have our 2 summer students who have been hired who are assisting with that work. Again, very busy within our cemeteries, active with internments and monument foundation work. They've also now installed the monument for the scattered ashes at the South Wilberforce Cemetery, getting ready for that next phase. The swim coordinator has been very busy. The pool did open on July the 2nd, and we're already into our first session of lessons at the pool. So at our next council meeting, we'll provide an update with regards to the statistics for the program, how many kids have been enrolled, and usage just for council's information. And then just a note on the bookings that have been happening within our halls as of late.
Any, Councilor Lewis?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go to, on Canada Day, I spoke to many people about these porta potties that we have. I have went into a couple of them, they're absolutely beyond. With the contract that we have with them, who takes care of these porta potties? Who is responsible for the cleanliness of them, or if they're damaged? It just, who does the responsibility fall back on?
Yes, so it's my understanding that the company that does provide us with the facilities, they are, I believe it is weekly that they do come to pump out, replenish, and then our staff also though, on typically, I believe it's Fridays, weekends, Mondays, they will also check to see if there's, an additional toilet paper that's required or hand sanitizer. So if there is a concern, we can certainly provide that on to the company as well.
Councilor Lewis again?
So is there little checks and balances for this? Because the 2 that are out there are right by our information booth, and we also have one of them right in front. We're practically on the wheelchair accessible sign. So the one is there's no way anybody should be in there using it. It should be shut down completely. The other one is just about as bad. So who does it? Because it was not checked yesterday. There's no way that was checked yesterday. And so I don't know about the other porta potties across the municipality, but that definitely was not. And the one that has a broken door should be shut down completely. No one should be going in there. If a child got in there, I don't know.
Not a problem. I will make sure to make a note of that and follow up with our Parks and Rec supervisor with regards to those concerns.
Any other questions or comments? I just have one, and it's good for the public to know. On June 30th, our staff did an unbelievable job of getting all of our grounds ready. And in Glenmorgan Park, which is in Gooderham, they did the same thing. And somebody had the absolute necessity to cut donuts all through the grass and create an awful lot of unnecessary damage. I'm not really sure that's the way a community should look at the kind of facilities that we provide and that they use and cherish. So just want to let people know that some of the people are just not really into Canada Day or anything like that. Motion.
The council can accept the Parks, Recreation and Facilities June 2026 report as submitted by the property supervisor's information.
Move it, please. Councilor Strong, seconded by Councilor Lewis. All in favor? Yeah, I was involved that one. Notice of motion with the Mayor Burton the last time with Cardiff Park dedication.
Yes, so for further to Mayor Burton's notice of motion at the previous council meeting of June 23rd, staff have prepared a supplementary report just to go along with that notice of motion and with regards to the dedication, potential dedication of the Cardiff Park. So what we're seeking today is council's approval for the dedication of Cardiff Park in honor of the Mackenzie family. So the park is located at 2 Balsam Street, which is in the Cardiff Town site. This is the location where our outdoor pool and change house. It also includes playground equipment, a picnic pavilion, etc. So it's quite a valued recreational asset within the Cardiff Town site. And so the proposed dedication of the park to the Mackenzie family, it does not change the use of the park, accessibility, function of it by any means. It's just, it would remain open and continue to serve as a central hub. It's just a dedication in the Mackenzie family name. They've been a cornerstone of the community for many years. And through their residency within the town site, they've had large involvement with the community and their volunteer efforts as a family. They're also very large supporters of the outdoor pool and the summer swim program. So just their advocacy and support has contributed to maintaining those recreational opportunities for local families to continue. So dedicating the park in honor of the Mackenzie family would provide a meaningful and lasting recognition of their contributions, service, and commitment to the community. And the dedication would acknowledge the important role that the family has played as community builders and leaders, and ensuring their legacy continues and recognized by current and our future residents. So just a little bit of additional information and looking for council's direction on that notice from Mayor Burton.
Questions or comments? Councillor Lewis.
I agree with everything in here. I've known the Mackenzie family. I went to school with their kids. My kids went to school with their grandkids. And so they've always been a big and had a positive impact. Even at the school, his wife, the whole family has always donated their time and stood behind all of the community development, everything. So I agree that this is one of the cornerstones, and I think it's a great thing to name this park after them.
Is this something you would like to move? Yeah. Oh, hold it. Gotta allow it to
This
take its course.
notice of motion by Burton, so technically he's the mover, so we would require a seconder. And I'll read it fully. The council received and accept the report notice is brought forward by Burton. Cardiff Park dedication is prepared property supervisor. Further, the council for the municipality of Highlands East approved the dedication of the Cardiff Park in honor of the Mackenzie family, and that park be formally named Mackenzie Park, and that staff be directed to install the appropriate signage for Mackenzie Park, and further, the council directs staff coordinate a public dedication ceremony at a date to be determined as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Economic development, monthly report on economic development, June 26th.
Yes, on behalf of our Economic Development Coordinator, Michelle Little, just a couple of items for council's information as it pertained to the Information Center for this year and the activities within the Economic Development Coordinator. So as council will see, we've had 81 visitors during the month of June to our Information Center. With the last week of school with June, we should be seeing an increase in the number of visitors to our area. With regards to mineral waivers, we have processed 59 waivers in June, and we have also been granted our exclusion of time when it comes to waiving the work requirements for our Schickler and Desmont mineral claims for 1 year. And we are still waiting on the progress on the status of those leases from the province. There was the Highland Grove Strawberry Supper that took place on June 27th. It was another great success, and with approximately 100 to 150 people in attendance. It is a very cherished community tradition, bringing people together in showcasing hospitality and volunteer spirit in the Highland Grove community. And then at the time of writing this report, the Canada Day events had not yet taken place. It was anticipated to be very hot, which it certainly was. There was events happening throughout all of our hamlets, with breakfast happening down in Cardiff at the Legion. We've also had activities at the Red Cross Outpost, and some music and activities, and also at Highland Grove, and in Gooderham, where at the finale with the fireworks show, which my understanding was also very well attended. So there may be further information on the event on our next council report once Michelle has gone through and looked at the number of participants. So that's it for this month.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none? Motion?
The council receive and accept economic development 2026 report as submitted by the Economic Development Coordinator's informational.
We have a mover. Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Carried. Beautification ideas.
Yes, so further to our last month where we discussed the anniversary ideas, this is to present to council ideas for various beautification projects within Highlands East. So the Economic Development Coordinator did provide a variety of different ideas on ways to beautify Highlands East and the associated costings. Some of the highlights from that document would be to hire a landscaper in order to maintain or spruce up areas of our existing gardens that are throughout the municipality. We do have some outside of our main office here in Wilberforce, as well as coming into the Cardiff town site around the Dragonfly and other various locations throughout the municipality. Also, a local artist gave a quote on some murals that could be done in each of the towns. Maybe there's not necessarily a good canvas, but council could also choose where to put them in each town as well. Or we could also look at something simpler with decorative metal pieces hanging on the streets as you come in. So there was also some maintenance opportunities. Those have been discussed with Parks and Recreation just to enhance our facilities and make Highlands East more inviting to our residents. So what we're seeking for today is just council's direction on some of those beautification ideas that have been provided and what it is that council would like to see staff carry out in the way of beautifying for Highlands East.
Questions or comments? Councillor Lewis.
Yes, sir. I haven't had time to even, I would like to sit down with my user group and discuss it with them, because they're the ones that are out with all of our general public in our community all the time, pretty much. And so, I mean, can we defer this to?
Yeah.
We can certainly defer. The one note I will make is that we are July currently. So if we did defer, it might be August. So some things may be a little bit prolonged if there was anything you wanted to do right off the hop, but again, council, if you wish to defer it, that's fine as well.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Strong.
This is for 2026, right? Yeah, and we're half over 26. I don't know. Taking that into consideration, we're gonna do anything, we have to do it. Because we don't have that much time.
But there's no question about what you're saying is true. And then just thinking, going back to historical, there's a display in the foreground of Glenmorgan Park, just off of 503, which represents, it was done, I think, centennial year. I'm not 100% sure. And it's in bad shape. There's been some talk about the possibility of sprucing that up and bringing it back up to speed. So I don't like deferring. On the other hand, I don't know if there's a straight answer. I know that I'm meeting with part of my, the group in my area this afternoon. But I don't know how to solve the problem of running out of time in the summer of 2026. Councillor Lewis?
I'm sure Helen Grove Community Center, there are a few beds there that could probably just be 5, but we also have our sign that has been put up, but now it's been, I see it has 2x4s holding it up because it blew over. So, you know, with that said, maybe just for in the time being, we're gonna have to do, maintenance would be a great thing. Just to spruce things up. You're right, we are out of time pretty much. I'm not even sure where you would get garden supplies. Most of the garden shops are closed down. So is there, I mean, I guess we could, I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to talk to them. But I'm just saying that just looking at the community center, there's so many things that could be.
John? Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. If doing some minor landscaping to the flower beds now is something that council wishes to move forward with, we could always do that. And then if you wanted to bring the other items to your groups for, you know, whether it's all this year or it can be something that we look at doing next year, or there's other opportunities for beautifying in the fall and winter as well. These are just some summer ideas as well.
I know that when you're in the Gooderham area, the Exploration Center information kiosks, whatever you call it, the base of it has had traditionally flowers in it and look pretty good. The entrances that come into both of those towns, I think Cardiff has one as well. They may or may not have stuff. So it seems to me like if there's a way we could work with some kind of flowering or at least beautifying it from the point of view of taking advantage of the foliage that we have around, that would be one that we could do pretty easy. Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, I agree. And if that's something that we can do right away, then that's great. But I would really like to see the information sign out of 2x4s supporting it up. Maybe we could get something in there so and take those 2x4s off so it stands on its own.
Yeah. Anything else?
Oh.
That's over at the school? Yeah. Yeah. Do you have enough information to do something? Good, that's great. That's the important part. Do we need a motion?
That council receive and accept the report beautification ideas as provided by the Economic Development Coordinator, and further the council direct staff to do maintenance to current flower beds, work on the information sign, and defer the other beautification ideas to a future date.
We have a mover. Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Perfect. So that was a beautification idea. Environment, water and waste.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I believe you have my report before you. A couple updates for the last few weeks. We finally found the service leak that we've been searching for in Cardiff. It was on a resident's side, past the curb stop. Isolating it saved us about 70 meters cubed a day. We're moving ahead with some LED lighting investigation in the Cardiff water plant. We haven't gone ahead with anything, but I just kind of want to get an idea of what's available. We're constantly fighting the old style lights with the chemicals in the air, corroding the contacts, and also provide a better work environment for the operators and a little more efficient for energy usage. And I've gone ahead and ordered some new signage for the public water taps at the Wilberforce Fire Hall and the Gooderham Municipal Water Tap, as well as Highland Grove. We did have a boil water advisory in the Wilberforce Municipal System. The boil water advisory has been lifted now. If council would allow it, I'd like to provide a full update at next month's council meeting, because I'm still gathering some information. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion?
The council receive and accept the environmental department July 2026 operations report as submitted by the environmental supervisor's information.
Have a mover? Counselor Strong, seconded by Counselor Lewis. All in favor? Carried. Public Works, Road and Waste.
Good afternoon, Deputy Mayor Ryle and members of council and staff. Before you is our Public Works update for the month of July. As you can see, we have quite a few items on the list here. I won't bore you with all the details. A couple items that I do want to talk to you about is the capital work that is being completed. This week we are putting about 2,500 tons of granular M on the Glamour Lake Road extension, grading it with the grader, shaping it, making sure that we have water on it to make sure that we get good compaction, and a heavy vibrator packer is on site as well. The shaping of the road should be completed sometime this afternoon. We fixed up the entrances up into Ferguson and to Medill, and at the back end of the where you go around to Little and Big Glamour, we've made sure that we have made good size aprons there so not to damage the new road bed that will be put on, and that is scheduled for July 23rd. So we're pretty impressed with the way the road has turned out. Our grader operator and all of our staff and our contract trucks have done a wonderful job on that site so far. And we're averaging about a 7-meter wide roadway all the way through there. So compared to what it looked like at this time last year, it looks like a major highway through there. So, the Gooderham Fire Hall roadway, I've been kind of scratching my head a little bit on this project for 2026. I've conferred with our contractor, Miller Paving, and we're looking at the options of using what they call as the flexible asphalt coal technology. So this item would be it's spread with with an asphalt paver, the same as they would do hot mix paving, but it's actually done with cold material. So I'm in the process of sourcing the pricing and so on and so forth, and looking at some of the roads that have been previously done with this. County Halberton is doing a project this year in the Gooderham area as well. So it'll be something that we will be favorably looking into, because the material is it will allow water to run through it. It will set itself back up again, and it kind of works like an asphalt base. So I'm excited to see if this is something that would be viable for us. Looking at the roadway into the fire hall, as well as the parking areas in front of the fire hall and in front of the community center there as well. There is also in that area, I would call it an overflow ditch that accepts water through a catch basin system underneath the asphalt that runs out to the Irondale River. And there is some work to be completed in there to just allow us a little bit of storage. Looking at it closely, it looks like there's been some sediment that needs to be removed out of there safely to build up the edge of the banks again, to give us a little bit more storage in the spring runoff season, which in turn will help us with the road bed itself. So RFPs are moving along nicely. The gravel application's going well. The roads are all graded up good. Significant weather events seem to be holding for us. Pretty impressed with everything so far to date with our road network system and how staff are approaching all of the work to be completed. On the waste side of things, always looking at the waste side operations and efficiencies. We had a July 4th, we had a huge turnout for the Household Hazardous Waste Day. I believe our waste operations supervisor said there was well over 300 vehicles through the Glamorgan transfer site on Saturday alone, including people dropping off their garbage and their recyclables. So kudos to the staff there for managing that, and it was definitely a busy day for them. So that is the end of my report, and if there's any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions or comment? Councillor Strong.
Yes, Perry, the Goodrum Fire Hall roadway, it's not done as yet, is that right?
No, through you, Deputy Mayor, to Councillor Strong. That's I'm working on the cold in place asphalt to try to mitigate that. So I was in there yesterday and took a whole bunch of measurements and trying to get the square meter pricing to see what is the best approach to go to with that, because historically we know every year that water lays over the road in there. There are some major defects in the roadway right at the moment, but this stuff will actually fill these in, so we don't need to do a whole lot of preparation work at times. So diligently working on it to try to get something done before the freeze up for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what you're doing over there, having seen that road multiple years. Mother Nature just has no mercy on that particular road. I don't know why, but she just doesn't. And if you can find a permanent solution that would at least try to control what she does, that would really be a great thing, and I would appreciate that. So, the fact that we have to take a little bit longer and we get a more permanent solution makes good sense to me. And the other thing too is, having been to the Gooderham transfer station, I can't get over the volume that's in there. I was talking to Debbie, and Friday morning things were empty, and Sunday afternoon there was doubled up. It was everywhere, and there was nothing anybody could do about it at that particular point in time. I think it has a lot to do with the fact when you're out there any time of the week, you're seeing more cars on. I see 503 quite nicely. And the volume of traffic now is huge. And it's not just on weekends, it's all through the week. So I'm wondering if it's just a question of vacation at home is becoming a big thing. And do you think we may have to look at revising how we transfer things in and out of there over the summer?
To answer that, Deputy Mayor Ryle, our waste operations supervisor is very diligent on keeping an eye on the volumes and the traffic flows, and coming to me with ideas on what we would have to look at in the future, because the traffic flows are definitely increasing there. Bin storage is a bit of a slippery slope with us, because we actually email the contractor comes and picks up the bins. So we're going to, I believe what we'll have to do is put a standing order in of we need pickup once a week on this date, no exceptions, because it can turn into a nightmare fairly quickly, and no fault of our staff. It's just the volume of people coming in and the traffic, and when the bins are full, if we can't pack those bins down because they're an open top bin, they have no other choice than to stack it somewhere else, and then that's where you end up with the debris that we definitely don't want. So we are working hard at that to make sure that we are trying to mitigate those risks for certain.
Do you think that going forward into 2027, there might be a need for another station there in terms of another. Station does not mean another transfer station, merely means another bunk or another bin to put stuff in.
To answer that, Deputy Mayor, when you look at the Monmouth site where we have the overflow, which is now being used for commercial, that could very well be something that we could look at. It'd be kind of, it wouldn't be a major deal to set up. So when you drive in, your bins are on the right. We could have it set up so that you have a set of overflow bins on the left too, but we would have to look at that and discuss with our CAO through our capital procurement, because that would be something that would be, your engineering block walls and getting that all set up. But it's definitely trending that way, I would agree.
So that's a 2027 project, which makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Any further comments or questions? Motion.
Council receive and accept the Public Works monthly data submitted by the Public Works Manager for information purposes only.
Could I have a mover? Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lewis. All in favor? Information technology. All motion carried.
Good afternoon, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Can you hear me fine?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Before you use the Information Technology Monthly Report for June 2026, a high-level view of how our digital initiatives are being governed, stabilized, and advanced. This month reflects progress in 3 governance areas: enterprise system readiness, as the ERP migration advanced through structured discovery sessions and workflow design, change management maturity as formal frameworks were put into practice, and staff enablement as training for the pilot cohort was designed. I would be happy to answer any questions that council may have at this time.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion please.
The council receive and accept the Information Technology June 2026 Operations Report as submitted by the Deputy Treasurer for information purposes only.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Carried. Finance, approval of accounts.
Yes. Again, good afternoon, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Before you is the June 2026 Financial and General Accounts Report in the amount of $2,779,154.64.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion.
The council receive and accept the Finance Department June 2026 Consolidated General Accounts Report in the amount of $2,779,154.64 as information only.
Mover, Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Motion carried. Second quarter financial statements.
Yes, so before you, council, is just a snapshot of our second quarter financial statements. These were prepared as of June 30th, so we should be at 50% of our budget. The statements have been provided for council's information. Council may note that transfers to and from reserves have not been completed. Therefore, some of the department variances to the budget are inflated, but those will be corrected towards the end of the year once we have completed the appropriate transfers. So that's just for council's information.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion please.
The council receive and accept the report second quarter financial statements 2026 as submitted by the CAO Treasurer.
Have a mover, please. Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lewis. All in favor? Motion carried. Highlands East Studio Tour donation request.
Yes, so before you, council, is a request from the Highlands East Studio Tour with regards to a recommended donation amount. So each year, the Highlands East Studio Tour does request a municipal donation to assist with the delivery and promotion of the tour for the public. So in 2025, council approved a donation request in the amount of $2,300. For this year, the studio tour is requesting a donation of $2,500 to support their 2026 event. In our 2026 budget, we already did allocate $2,300 based on last year's request. So an additional $200 would be needed to be allocated from the donation fund to accommodate the request. Through the studio tours proposal, they're noting that the funding helps augment the revenue generated through memberships, supporters, and sponsorship. And the increase in funding is requested with attributing costs to printing, website maintenance, and media advertising, which is pushing some of their costs up. So had the amount have been what we had previously budgeted, this would not be coming forward, but it is more than what we have in our municipal operating budget. So council can either continue with the budgeted amount of 2,300 or look to increase to 2,500 per the studio tours request. And currently the donation fund for 2026 has $4,600 remaining as of the time of this report.
Questions or comments? Councilor Lewis.
So there's $4,600. How much money did we start off with in that on the beginning of the year, and so that I can see?
6,000.
Okay.
Any further comment? I happen to know the group. They've been around for a long time. They do an awful lot of work to promote art and the overall concept of culture in our particular area. And with $4,600 in the bank, to me, I don't see there being a big problem giving another 200, considering the 23 is there. But that's my opinion. If anybody has a difference of opinion, that would be greatly appreciated. Seeing that, can we have a motion?
The council receive and accept the report Highlands East Studio Tour donation request as submitted by the CAO treasurer, and further the council approves a donation in the amount of $2,500 to the Highlands East Studio Tour.
And have a mover. It would be Councillor Strong, seconded by Councillor Lewis. All in favor? Here. Administration, CAO report.
Yes, so council, you were provided the monthly administration update. Just hit on a couple of points just for council's information. So our updated website has now gone live the week of June 29th. The site is up and running. It did have minimal downtime with the switchover. The webmaster did note some oddities shortly after launch, but it seems to have worked itself out. And from there, now we are going to be discussing some potential training for our staff regarding the new site. With regards to the affordability and governance study, this work continues. So throughout the month of June, various engagement sessions were conducted. At the time of this report, all focus group sessions were completed, including in-person and virtual public open houses. The staff engagement survey closed June the 28th. And the community survey timeline was extended to Sunday, July the 5th. During the month of July, the EORN team from the communications we've received will be focused on consolidating all of the feedback they've received through the engagements, financial data, and other inputs, and putting together, analyzing the options. The final report is to be completed by July 31st and is to be presented to County Council in early August, with additional presentations to local municipal councils to be scheduled in the weeks that follow. And they will also be shared with the public to discuss those future considerations. We did have Baker Tilly here this morning, just presenting our 2024, and we're now looking to schedule our 2025 final audit. As well, we did receive notification on the 7th of July that our Ontario Trillium Foundation grant was declined for the accessible play structure at Hurley Park. Staff did follow up with Ontario Trillium Foundation just to see if there was anything we could do with our grant application, just to increase chances of receiving funding. OTF had noted that our staff did a very nice job on the submission, but when you only have $13 million in requests and only $2.6 million to spread out, sometimes it's hard to get all projects approved, but we'll just keep working away at that as we can. And just as a final note, our final tax billing has been completed. Those tax bill notices are out for delivery, but that final tax billing installment is not due until the end of September of this year. So those are the updates for admin and finance, if anyone has any questions.
Questions or comments? A motion, please.
That council receive and accept the CAO monthly report, July 2026, as submitted by the CAO treasurer as information only.
Have a mover, please. Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Carried. Human Resources.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of Council. You have before you the monthly Human Resources Report for information only. As you can see, we're still trying to recruit for the part-time Trails Coordinator. Shelley Feist Trimble will be taking over for the position that Tracy Evans currently holds in the Planning Department. So we will be looking to fill the vacancy in the Tax Department. We also now have our full complement of summer students in place, and the regular daily and monthly payroll processing continues status quo. I would welcome any questions if you have any.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, motion.
The council review and accept the Human Resources Monthly Report, July 2026, as submitted by the HR Payroll Coordinator for information purposes only.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Strong. All in favor? Here. There's really not a lot to report at this point from County Council. The only thing that we can say is we lost a member this month or last month. And it's an unfortunate situation when you have somebody that's put as much time in as Murray Ferry did. And unfortunately, everybody has to come to a conclusion at some point in time. And when that happens, you don't always fill the gap the way you would like to. And I think the gentleman will be certainly missed, certainly at the county level and with his own municipality of Dysart. So I know that on behalf of Mayor Burton and myself, and I'm sure all of Highlands East, that we go out to his family and wish him all the best in getting through this very, very tough time. So that's kind of sort of really the only thing I have to say at this point, other than our next county council meeting will be in the new council chamber, as opposed to borrowing it from Dysart. Resolutions from other municipalities.
That council receive and file the resolutions from other municipalities, levels of government as submitted for the regular meeting of council, July 14th, 2026.
Any questions, comments, or extractions? Seeing none. Need a mover, right? Mover and seconder. Councillor Lewis, Councillor Strong. All in favor? Carry. Bylaws for approval. No correspondence.
The council received the correspondence as submitted at the July 14th, 2020 regular meeting of council.
Any questions, comments on that? Seeing none, of a mover, Counselor Strong, seconded by Counselor Lewis. All in favor? Carried. Bylaws for approval.
That bylaw numbers 2026-68 to 78, section 12, 12.1 to 12.11 be received, approved, and enacted at this July 14th, 2026 regular meeting.
That certainly does move things along, doesn't it? All over first up, any discussion or questions on that? Okay, good. Mover, Counselor Lewis, seconded by Counselor Strong. All in favor? Motion carried. We don't have any motion to notice the motion. Confirmation bylaw.
That bylaw number 2026-79 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting of July 14th, 2026 be received, approved, and enacted.
Have a mover, please. Counselor Strong, seconded by Counselor Lewis. All in favor? Carried. An adjournment.
That council adjourned the July 14th, 2026 meeting at 12:45 p.m. and to meet again on August 11th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. for the regular meeting of council.
Well, thank you very much before we go into that. And unfortunately, Mayor Burton had to leave early. And we certainly do wish him everything going well this afternoon. Motion, move it, please. Counselor Lewis, seconded by Counselor Strong. All in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned.